On the 30th of October, 2019, the Frederick News Post reported 3,154 flu-like cases in Maryland, the home state of CIA's bioweapon lab in Fort Detrick. The Post says, not all of the 3,154 cases in Maryland were actually influenza. According to the Maryland Department of Health's weekly flu report, only 111 cases responded positive to rapid flu tests. Only 4 of the 32 cases sent to state labs tested positive. These numbers have told us only 0.44% of the flu-like cases were actually influenza. The rest of the flu-like cases must be COVID-19. That is, by the end of October, Maryland already had 3,140 symptomatic COVID-19 cases, adding 50% asymptomatic cases. The asymptomatic rate of Diamond Princess is 52%. Maryland's total COVID-19 cases should have amounted to 4,710 by the end of October 2019. Fort Detrick has a history of leaking virus into the community. Its first documented virus leak was in 2002. 6 years later, the CIA bioweapon lab leaked virus into the community again, now in 2019, a third time. This time, it has caused 300,000 deaths worldwide. And the US blames it on China. In fact, the first deadly COVID-19 outbreak occurred on the 30th of June, 2019, at this retirement home, an hour drive from Fort Detrick, followed by outbreaks all over the states, disguised as vaping illness and flu.
A mysterious respiratory illness has hit a second assisted living facility in Fairfax County. The county health department says 25 people have gotten sick at the Heatherwood retirement community in Burke. Now, no one there has died, and health officials say there is no direct link to the mystery illness that is causing people to get sick both at Green Spring nursing home facility in Springfield, where 3 people died. 63 people were sick there. 19 employees have reported symptoms too. 3 people died. 63 people were sick there. 19 employees have reported symptoms too. The county health department says they haven't found the cause just yet, and the truth is they may never be able to do that.
In older adults, we have a number of outbreaks of respiratory illnesses that occur every year that we investigate. Many of those are caused by influenza, but of the outbreaks that are not flu, there are some where we never identify the etiology. It's just difficult to do the testing and to identify the cause in older adults.
Wow, could it have been flu in July? We'll have to find out, hopefully. The CDC has tested the facility, and they're still waiting for those results.
Outside of the US, Japan's doctors have found a COVID-19 patient back in August 2019, and US Mayor Michael Melham has testified that he had COVID-19 last November.
I was gravely ill in November, when I was certainly gravely ill, and I'd never been that ill in my adult life, and I had virtually every single one of the symptoms. The facts are this: either I had it in November before anybody admits that it was here, or I had it in January, February, or March, and I was asymptomatic, which is highly unlikely for me. The test that I took has 2 different antibody results. It has something called the IgG and the IgM. The IgM is the more recent, which would have shown that that antibody is more recent in my system. My body more recently fought the coronavirus. The IgG is the longer lasting one, and that's the one I tested positive.
Francis Hospital also confirmed that their first COVID-19 case was on November 16, 2019. With a true flu rate of 0.44%, based on CDC's influenza numbers, US now has 40.4 million COVID-19 cases, with 105,000 deaths. Remember, the COVID-19 type that attacks China is different from the type that sickens the Americans. The COVID-19 type found in China is the second generation of COVID-19. It was genetically engineered to kill the Chinese people. Therefore, it does not spread outside East Asia without first mutating into derived B types. This second generation type spreads much faster with far worse illness. The COVID-19 that sickens Americans is the oldest strain, the first generation of COVID-19. It spreads slower with milder illness. COVID-19 also has an incubation period that varies from 1 day to 94 days. All these factors taken together explain why COVID-19 first broke out in China, then in Europe and America, as shown in this chart. The 1st of December, 2019, was the day when the first COVID-19 case in China was taken into hospital. On the 30th of December, 2019, Dr. Li reported 7 cases in Wuhan to his friends. On the 14th of January, 2020, WHO reported 41 cases in China. However, in November 2019, CIA already alerted the White House, Israel, and NATO, the non-existent pandemic in China, 1 month before the first COVID-19 case was taken into hospital in China.
But we are now learning that as far back as late November, American military medical investigators overseas sounded the alarm to officials right here at home about a contagion that was sweeping through Wuhan. Those concerns that the virus could be devastating were detailed in a report, and multiple sources have described that report to our team.
Until the 29th of February, 2020, FDA and CDC worked together to obstruct coronavirus testing. They banned coronavirus diagnostic tests by state and commercial labs to cover up for CIA's virus leak. No testing means no coronavirus. No testing means no CIA virus leak. As the COVID-19 cases skyrocketed in China, American politicians and media rallied to demonize the Chinese, inciting worldwide anti-Chinese hate crimes. As soon as symptomatic patients are being tested, America's number of COVID-19 cases skyrockets. As we calculated before, the real number of America's symptomatic COVID-19 cases is now 40.4 million, as of the 11th of May, 2020. Not 1.4 million, as reported by the United States. Now, let the truth be heard. The American empire is the real sick man of the 21st century, and Lysol is their miracle drug. This pre-Wuhan event chain has exposed the real culprit behind this pandemic disaster on mankind. We now know for sure. COVID-19 is a virus escaped from CIA's bioweapon lab in Fort Detrick. That's why the lab was closed indefinitely by CDC in July 2019. The top leaders of the United States were well informed about the man-made pandemic in September 2019. Anthony Fauci was already making COVID-19 vaccines. They also organized Event 201, a global pandemic simulation, to prepare themselves in the coming global economy recession caused by the pandemic. COVID-19 was genetically engineered in the US and brought to Wuhan to blame the CIA disaster on China. This is evidenced by 3 facts. First, Mika Zenko's report that last September, the executive of a Fortune 100 company in Washington, D.C., was already prepared for the highly contagious virus that would begin somewhere in China and spread rapidly. Second, CIA warned the White House, Israel, and 30 NATO members of the non-existent Wuhan pandemic in November 2019, before the first COVID-19 patient was taken into hospital in Wuhan. Third, multiple scientific research has proved that COVID-19 was lab engineered and cannot infect non-East Asians without first mutating into derived B types.